Welcome back, everyone. Well, it's been 3 months since my first video of starting my end scale layout. Now, some things have changed since then. The original plan was almost a complete circle with an opening over here. I've done away with this section over here. So from the end here to the corner behind me is 10 feet. Then from this corner to this corner is 8 feet. From the wall out to the edge right here is 5 feet. This section here is actually, I think it's 3 feet by 2.5 feet. And I want to have some water here on the edges so that I can have some boats. We've added a second level, and you can see I have a bridge here and a bridge here, and the train will run on that upper level that is all white. And then I also want to have an elevated track that runs on this upper level. So you'll have the elevated track, this level in the middle, and the lower level. So you'll have 3 trains running continuously. They don't connect. They're separate from each other and they loop. So the 2 levels will loop at this end and they'll loop over here. Now you'll see I've placed some brown boxes, and that is just to give me an idea of what it's going to look like with some tall buildings back here. Now I want to have lots of lights on this. The buildings will have lights, and then underneath this level here, there'll be lights and street lights, fully lit. So for these buildings here, I do have some kits. You'll see I have some back there in the corner and then some right here. Now for the buildings here, I don't need a back. So I can use the back and possibly one other side to make other buildings. So one kit actually gets me 2 structures. For some of the background buildings, I'm creating buildings in the computer, and then I'll print these out. Now to make these look more 3-dimensional, I'll actually be adding trim. And I'll make a roof. I'll put shingles or tar paper on it. So we'll really try to make these look three-dimensional. So you can see what a difference that makes. I wanted to point out some of the kits that we've been building on the channel, like this one right here. Here's another one. These are the two newest kits. I haven't really planned any of this section out yet. But that pink styrofoam will go all the way to the end right there. And there'll be some water here in the front, so it'll probably go along there and then out to the edge and there. And the upper level that is white will continue all the way across. And then the elevated track will be maybe in the middle of those buildings right there. And that'll go down and loop and come back. That elevated track will probably loop, go behind those buildings and come out and continue. But this level with that bridge, that's going to have to come out, loop, and go back to that white area back there and back behind all these buildings. Comes out right there and then goes across this bridge. Now I'll admit that I sort of jumped the gun and just did as much as I could, as fast as I could. But all of this will have to be removed, and under each section we'll have to put wood. There'll have to be frames built under it with holes so that all the wires can go underneath it. And then there'll be, supports obviously that go under it in the center. And then each section has to have holes drilled so that bolts and wing nuts can go on there to secure each section, to make sure that they line up perfectly and that they are completely level. For more of my background buildings, I'm going to be using these. And these are from Outland Models. And again, each of these has 4 walls. So some of these I may only use 2, which leaves me with 2 others, so I can get 2 buildings out of 1 kit. Or I can combine them, make them taller. There's lots of possibilities with these kits. I was a freelance artist for 30 years, and for some projects I would first have to do a small drawing, which is called a thumbnail. You then would make that into a larger drawing, working out some of the problems and trying to improve it. Then I would make a photocopy of that picture, maybe enlarge it a little bit, and put some color on it, some washes maybe, to get an idea of the direction that it would be going with the color and the finished picture. Then that would be put onto a canvas or put into the computer, and your final picture would be done for that. So this is kind of like doing my thumbnail. Rather than sketching it, I'm just stacking things and placing things where I think it's going to go. And then from here, I can sort of finalize all of the land and, like I said, the bench work. And then from there, we can really start to detail it and come up with the finished product. I know it's not how most modelers work. You know, they'll do their bench work first and get it completely finished, come up with a track plan, lay all their track, and then start to put in all of their buildings. I just have never worked that way. And I like having, almost starting with buildings first, laying out your buildings and then having your track go around the buildings. You can see where I've already cut away the foam for the water. So the foam will pick up, and I haven't decided yet the shape, but there'll be lots of water out here for barges and areas where I'd like to have shipping containers, an area where you're unloading and loading shipping containers. Now, some of these buildings are pre-done. I bought them just like that, and we'll have to do some repainting on those and maybe put some washes over them so they're not so new looking. We'll gray down the white and then take some pastels and add some value. And then obviously these have to be painted, and we'll get more of these kits right here. I did want to point out that these are like 1/18 scale containers. I will not be using those. I'll actually make pillars that look realistic that go there, and we'll need one in the center. So as you can see, I've been doing lots of laser cutting to create these. So that top part is right here. And you can see it's made up of 3 parts. So you have your flat piece, then that piece goes over it, and then this one goes on top of that. And then for these right here, it's a front and back, and then you have your side pieces. And those are right there. Now these take a very long time to laser cut. So you can see I've been doing lots of cutting. So all of this gets steel girders, and going back, we'll probably have to put I-beams underneath this section, and then all of the elevated track that'll sit like maybe at that level up there will all have to be laser cut. And it all gets weathered and rust put on it. I've also been working on some small detail parts. So these are my 3D printers. And here are some of my N-scale detail parts. I love the challenges of working in N-scale and just making things so small. It's a really nice break from HO scale. All right, well, I just really wanted to give you a quick update to let you know that I'm still working on it, that I haven't forgotten about the N-scale layout. I'm very excited. It's hard to juggle everything between life, producing new kits both in HO scale and N scale, working on my HO scale layout, working on the N scale layout, and then really trying to find some time to work on my sci-fi layout. And unfortunately, the sci-fi layout usually comes in last. I don't have too much time to work on it, but I thoroughly enjoy it, and I really do. I just love working in that scale, which is 1/18 scale, and sci-fi. Love it. All right, well, until next time, stay motivated and happy modeling, everyone.